Um, Turkey's organized into military districts or various armies, and the army that's in the Thracian area in Istanbul and European Turkey, the army that's in the Izmir area, I believe these are armies that are dedicated NATO forces. But the armies that operate to the east, especially the army that operates along the Syrian border, these are not dedicated NATO forces. So, Turkey is one of these nations where they have a significant, you know, part of their armed forces which carry out non-NATO duties. Um, and Turkey also is a nation that recognizes the reality of Russia, meaning that unlike other European nations, Turkey knows that it's in their best interest to have good relations with Russia. This is why Turkey has active economic engagement. Russia just completed a nuclear power plant. Um, but the other thing is that Turkey, to give you an example, as a NATO member, they have very difficult relationship with Greece, and the United States has been hesitant to sell Turkey advanced fighter aircraft out of fear that Turkey would use these aircraft to attack Greece. Um, and so there's been strained relations. This dates back to 1974, I believe, when Turkey invaded Cyprus, and the United States began sanctioning Turkey before that invasion. So we have sort of this love-hate relationship with Turkey, where they're a member of NATO, they buy American equipment, but we deny them full access to American equipment. We blocked Turkey from the F-35 program, even though they had invested a lot of money into that, and they were prepared to produce part of the F-35 aircraft in Turkish aircraft factories. We've not been forthright in replacing the F-35 with an advanced F-16. We put a lot of strings on that. Turkey's bought the S-400 surface-to-air missile from Russia, which is one of Russia's most advanced air defense systems. And there's a lot of concern that, if Turkey has the F-35 and the S-400, that the S-400 radar will be able to learn a lot of things about F-35 operations, and that will expose the United States to vulnerability. So there's a lot of people hesitant about allowing Turkey to have both the F-35 and the S-400. So we're trying to we put pressure on Turkey. We sanction Turkey, and as a result, Turkey has open relations. I went to the Defender of the Fatherland event at the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C. last February. That's one where I famously or infamously posted me doing a vodka toast with two Russian colonels. But at that event was the Turkish air attaché. And I sat there and had a very long discussion with him about the S-400, about the F-35, about Turkish relations with Russia. The Turkish officer and the Russian officer were on friendly terms. They, one's a NATO officer, the other one's a Russian, but they were doing what defense attachés are supposed to be doing. That is working together, trying to get a better understanding. There it is. I love this video. There are many people out there who hate this video, but I don't care. This is called building bridges, making friends. But I think I've touched on the subject long enough to.
I think Hassan should be happy by now, maybe even elated.
He should be. I did my best, Hassan. I'm a little tired and I'm starting to babble, so I'm going to cut it off.
No, you're doing great. Should we take a phone call from Blind Jim?
Sure.
All right. So I'm going to cut it off. Blind Jim, turn down your computer.
Hello?
All right. Are you ready to be? Yeah. Are you ready to be breviloquent, Blind Jim?
Yes, I am.
All right. Go ahead.
Anyhow, Scott, could you tell us what the Russians, how they perceive Hamas and the current Israeli government?
Sure. I just had a conversation with a Russian official today, and Russia, of course, condemns Hamas' attack on October 7th, their attack on Israel. Russia views Hamas as a terrorist organization. Their actions on that date is terrorism. But Russia doesn't believe that that gives Israel carte blanche to do anything they want in retaliation. And the Russian feeling now is that Israel is actually the bigger terrorist threat, that Israel's actions far exceed what Hamas did on October 7th. And so Russia not only condemns Israel, but it labels Israel as a terroristic state, and is pushing for a two-state solution, the fulfillment of the Palestinian people's desire to have their own homeland. So that, I think, captures the Russian position in a nutshell.
That was braviloquent, both on your part and Blind Jim's.
Braviloquent.
Paul Spencer, who's near Portland, Oregon. Near Portland. Chechnya is building 100+ homes for Gazan refugees. There are over 1,000 of these folks there now. Could or should the Russian Federation invite Gazans to build a new country of sorts in some southern part of the RF, near Kazakhstan, for instance?
I mean, before Russia does that, I think people should ask the Palestinians if that's what they want. This is sort of modeled on, the early Zionist activities of the Jews who were looking at homelands. I think they were looking in Africa and Uganda for a homeland, and the idea was just anywhere you could get a homeland, you could get a homeland. But they chose the Holy Land because there's biblical links there. The Palestinians, why would they want to live anywhere but Palestine? I mean, that's their homeland. It's theirs. I don't think the Palestinians would agree to a false state, a fake state, a new state that doesn't have any historical relevance.
All right, our first internet outage. And we'll see if we can get Scott back. As I said before, we do have a plan.
But I'm back.
Okay.
I don't think that the Palestinians would go for it. I commend Chechnya for its for what it's doing for Palestinian refugees, but I think the status will be refugee status, which means at some point in time these people will hopefully be returned to their homeland and able to build homes in Palestine.
All right, keep that phone number handy just in case, Scott. Jasmine from the great state of Michigan. I think that's where Blind Jim is also, right? You have previously said that the U.S. will always remain faithful to Israel because of the Israeli lobby. But ever since the genocide in Gaza started, you can see the opinions change, especially among the young generation. So do you think the days of the Israeli lobby and Zionism are numbered?
I'd like to hope so. I'd like to believe so. And I would like, I want it to be that way. But the reality is, Israeli money runs deep. The corruption of the American political system at the hands of the Zionists, of the Israelis, is real. They brag about it, openly brag about it. They're going to spend $100 million to influence the 2024 election. Imagine if Russia just came out and said, "Hey, we're going to spend $100 million to influence the American election." Think anybody would stand for that? Of course not. But Israel's bragging about it. They openly lobby Congress. They threaten congressional members with being primaried. Imagine again if Russia came in and said, "Hey, if you don't support this, that, and the other thing, we're going to put money in the system and run somebody against you." Nobody would think that candidate would be legitimate. We'd say that's a Russian candidate. Well, guess what? Most of the candidates that run for Congress are Israeli candidates because they're bought and paid for by the state of Israel. And as long as that's the case, until you purge Congress of this Israeli taint, so to speak, I think that the lobby is always going to have that power and the influence. I'd like to believe that we could find a way to limit it, but I'm not optimistic.
What do you make of South Africa going before the UN court accusing Israel of genocide?
I think it's wonderful. I'm glad South Africa had the moral courage and integrity to do so. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that Israel is a genocidal state. What they're doing against the Palestinians readily qualifies as genocide, and it's wonderful that South Africa has taken this case to the court, and the court is hearing the case. 84 pages of unequivocal truth, fact-based truth. In many cases, using the Israeli government's own words against them. You don't have to manufacture a case here. You don't have to use circumstantial evidence. The Israelis have right out, just Israeli officials have said it. There's the soldiers say it. The commanders say it. It's genocide, and I'd like to believe that the court will find Israel culpable in committing genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza.
All right, let's go on to our next question. This is from a witness in Canada. Did Bernie Sanders just grow a spine by putting forth a resolution to find out if U.S. weapons were misused or not? Or is it a frantic move to distance the U.S. from the coming genocide conviction of Israel for their massacre in Gaza? Bernie Sanders growing a spine? Do you know about this?
No, I mean, I'm hearing about it, but I'll take a witness at face value here that that Sanders did this. I don't think he did it because he's trying to do the right thing. He has long been an ardent supporter of Israel. I think he's doing it for political cover. At some point in time, Joe Biden and the Democratic Party is going to have to distance itself from the atrocities being committed by Israel. And what Bernie Sanders has done, even though he's technically an independent, he caucuses with the Democrats. And I think that what he's done here is create the beginnings of a political cover of as you call it, Jeff, a plan B for the United States when it's time to cut and run from Ukraine, because it's a sinking ship and we don't want to go down with that sinking ship.
All right, let's take another phone call.
Because it's a sinking ship.
Turn down your computer. What's your question?
Okay. Well,
Turn it down.
Привет.
You can do
Hello.
it. You can do it. All right, what's your question?
Привет. Привет. Добрый день. Как дела? Scott Ritter for president.
Scott Ritter for president. Okay. Is that it? Is that
I want to toss that. I think it's a realistic goal to get Scott Ritter elected president in 2028. I just want to toss that out.
Okay.
But Mr. Ritter, you have inspired me to study and learn Russian, and to begin to read Pushkin and the other great Russian authors. I'm 64 years old, but I'm going to be doing that for the rest of my life. I'd just like to ask you, have you read all of Pushkin? What do you think are his important poems? I gather that Eugene Onegin, is that like the central work where where you get the ideas about the Russian soul? And just any other comments you'd have about Pushkin?
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
that's
for
my
your
question.
call. Thanks for your call. You can listen to President Ritter address that question on your computer. Thank you. Go ahead, President.
Well, I want to commend you for learning the Russian language and familiarizing yourself with the great Russian authors, and of course, Alexander Pushkin is one of the greatest. Eugene Onegin, of course, as you said. I mean, you know the answer. It is a poem that many people say best describes the Russian soul. I'm lately been reading up on the Bronze Horseman, another epic poem written by Pushkin about the statue to Peter the Great in St. Petersburg. because I mean, if you look at the prologue, it talks about the it sort of mocks the Finns and the Swedes. And Peter the Great is building this city, St. Petersburg, in order to protect Russia from these two threats. And when you look at today with Finland having joined NATO, Sweden on the cusp of entering NATO, it just seems to be relevant, and to get Pushkin's insight into the thinking behind the building of the city is, again, I just think there's a lot of important parallels today. But no, you're doing very good. I applaud
Well, do you think
you.
this guy could possibly be the U.S. ambassador to Russia in the Ritter administration?
Well, he could be the U.S. ambassador to Russia in somebody else's administration. I can tell you that the not only the likelihood of me running, but the chances of me being elected are slim to none. So I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I think I do a better job as a citizen ambassador than I would do as a failed presidential candidate.
All right. Well, a 64-year-old guy can dream, can he? For crying out loud. Give him something to live for. Kiki, who claims to be your biggest fan, I don't know about that. How do we measure that? She's, you know what? I think I forgot to change near Portland, Oregon. So disregard that. But anyway, you have said before that Israel is not our ally. Then why does the U.S. staunchly continue to support them, even during times of genocide? There's that G word again. I've been told they give us a foothold in the Middle East. Is this true? If not, then what do they do for us?
They bought us. They own us. I mean, you can listen to Alan Dershowitz. He gave a speech the other day where he, talks about the Jewish influence in America, and he doesn't, hide from it. He basically says that, the Jewish people who constitute, a small percentage of the American population dominate, and that they don't need to apologize about it. He brags about how the American Jews are harder working, smarter. They've applied themselves better, and they deserve the right to have this influence. And they not only deserve the right, but they have to have this right in order to, basically get America on board to, the Israeli bandwagon, so to speak. So, but when I say that Israel's not our ally, Israel uses the United States. We're a tool for Israel. So, we're being fooled or lulled into a false sense of complacency into believing that we have somehow a foothold in the Middle East and Israel. Israel doesn't want to give us a foothold in the Middle East. Israel just wants our money. Israel wants the political backing, the veto in the Security Council, etc. But Israel, doesn't want to open up its defense, its national defense, to the vulnerabilities that come with a genuine alliance with America. Plus, Israel spied on us. Who do you think Jonathan Pollard is? Do the research. Man who spied on the United States in the 1980s, took what we called the crown jewels of the intelligence business. The book that lists all of the frequencies that we monitor using our signal intelligence capabilities. And if you know that we're listening to you, if you know that we've broken a code, then you'll change the systems, and the money that we spent in getting into the position where we could listen to that particular communication is wasted money. Jonathan Pollard sold this to the Israelis, and then the Israelis in turn bartered it to the Soviet Union to get more Jews out of Israel. So Israel uses America. They killed American sailors. They attacked the USS Liberty, a flagrant attack, killed American sailors, wounded American sailors, never really apologized for it. Israel continues to spy on us. We saw the AIPAC, the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, back in the late 1990s, was a front for spies. They were liaisoning with the Pentagon officials, and some of the Pentagon officials were giving AIPAC classified information about Iran's nuclear missile program, and then the AIPAC people gave that information to Israel. It's spying, literally spying. So no, Israel's not our ally. I think that there's a lot of propaganda that goes into defining Israel's relation with the United States. Both Israel and the American Jews like to make it out as Israel's our greatest ally, that it's literally the 51st state. But the reality is Israel is one of the worst enemies America's ever had, because they've done more harm to America than many of our acknowledged enemies.
All right, let's take a voicemail message, or play a voicemail message from an anonymous caller.
Hi, Scott. Thank you for answering our questions while traveling through Russia. Now, to my question, I can understand the importance of Mykolaiv to secure Odessa once taken by the Russian army, so that Ukraine does not pose danger to the Russian Navy around Crimea. But can you explain the strategic importance of the further northeast oblasts, Dnipropetrovsk and Kharkiv? Also, does the Ben Gurion project play a role in the recent Israeli incursion into Gaza? Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the question. I'll start with the Ben Gurion project. Basically, the Ben Gurion project is the idea that Israel is going to not be held hostage to the Suez Canal, and so they would build their own canal connecting the port of Eilat with the Mediterranean Sea. The plan envisioned extensive use of atomic demolition munitions to basically carve this canal out of the desert. It's a plan that has no chance of succeeding, because no one's going to allow that many nuclear weapons to be detonated underground, or to create these things. So I don't think the Ben Gurion project had anything to do with it, because it's not an active, viable project, at least to the best of my knowledge. So that, the thing is, when you speak of Odessa, and I continue to believe that Odessa will be taken by the Russians as part of their demands when this conflict ends with Ukraine. Vladimir Putin recently has come out and said that Odessa is a Russian city, and he's a man who's very careful with his words. So I'll take him at face value that Russia plans on taking it. And as the gentleman caller mentioned, to take Odessa, you have to go through Mykolaiv, and so they're going to have to take Mykolaiv as well. But now, when you look at those two goals and objectives, how do you get there?
Oh my gosh, he's just gone. All right, while we're waiting for Scott to come back, let's do the coin giveaway. Let's put our time to good use. Give you a few more seconds if you want to type in #coin in the live chat for, on Twitch, Twitter, X, Facebook, and YouTube. So let me get that all set up, and we'll do that. All right, let us do the giveaway. And the winner is Bako Mamand. Bako Mamand, what a great name. Congratulations to you, Bako. And if you would like to give us, send us an email, we'll be able to send that out to you. The email is info@ustourofduty.org. Once again, congratulations to Bako. And we'll see if Scott comes back either on the internet or by phone. Right now, I'm not seeing him in either place. The next episode will be in a studio in Moscow, so we're expecting that to be a flawless internet connection. Famous last words. We'll see. Maybe that'll be glitchy too, but I don't think so. And that's going to be on the 19th of January at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time with Alexander Zhirianov. Alexander is the man who has brought Scott to Russia, not just once, but twice. Some of you may not realize that. I think most of you know he was there also in May, but Alexander was the one who organized that trip and this trip as well. So he is quite the dude. And if you would like a copy of the challenge coin that Scott gave away on that trip, you can go to scottrittermerch.com and get that. At some point, we're probably going to put the New Year's coin on sale that Scott has given away on this trip, but not quite yet. And we're also selling the Knowledge is Power t-shirt at Ask the Inspector. I'm sorry, at scottrittermerch.com. I'm looking in 5 different places to see if we can find Scott somewhere. And as I mentioned before, we're also selling an autograph by the author, Scott Ritter's latest book, Disarmament in the Time of Perestroika. Well, I don't know what happened to our plan B. Doesn't seem like Scott is calling in. Is he? It was such a good plan B. I don't know. I didn't even realize he could call me on his phone from Russia, but I got a text from him today, and I said, hey, wait a minute. You can use your phone? Well, call me if we lose the internet connection. Could it be that it works only for text but not phone? Is that possible? Well, anyway. Yelena, you want to come on and say hi while we're waiting for Scott? Since you got...
Sure.
Since you got a brand new camera, Yelena helps us out backstage, and she's also starting her own podcast. Well, not her own, but she's part of a new podcast team. You want to? I don't know if you're ready to promote that yet. You want to say anything about that?
Oh yeah, I can say it is like daughter project of Black Mountain Analysis. It's called Black Mountain Talks, and we have already 3 episodes ready. And the one episode we have recorded today, it will be uploaded, I think, tomorrow, and it will be with Colonel Truchan, who was also guest of Mr. Ritter back in October last year, and we had a long conversation. Yes, it was really interesting, and it will be both in English and Russian. So
all right, and people can see that where, on YouTube or somewhere else?
Yes, it's on YouTube, and it's on our Substack too.
And what's the name? The name of the channel is Black Mountain Talks?
Yeah, name of YouTube is Black Mountain Talks, and name of Substack is Black Mountain Analysis.
Okay, so if they search for Black Mountain Talks on YouTube, they'll find the podcast.
Yeah, I think yes.
And on Substack, it's Black Mountain Analysis. Substack is that particular Substack blog I know is been around for a while. There's the last time I looked, I think there were 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers already, right? Yeah. So how often are you doing the podcast?
Now we're planning to go two episodes per week, and we're having a mixture of. We're planning also podcasts on economics topic, and the one we recorded. It was recording was made on December 31, and it was on IE. It was episode second episode, and we were speaking about artificial intelligence. It was really good. I love that.
All right.
I'm going backstage.
All right, Scott. We have a new co-host, Yelena. So thanks for all your hard work. We appreciate it. Stay in touch.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
All right.
But I'm fired.
All right. Well, Scott, you missed the coin giveaway. We put the time to good use so that people would have something interesting. Well, it was kind of an odd name that I can't really remember. You know how people always have these weird handles on YouTube and so forth? Or maybe it wasn't even a weird one. Maybe it was just a foreign name, but I don't know, Bacchum something or other. whatever.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. All right, so let's see. You want to do a couple more questions? Where are we here now? We're still within the hour window. Okay. Let's see where we left off. Claudia Pineda in Ottawa, Canada. According to an article in the Times of Israel, Israel knows the exact location of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. However, according to the article, Sinwar has surrounded himself with a large number of Israeli hostages, which is preventing the IDF from carrying out a strike on him. Do you believe these statements?
No, I don't believe these statements. I think if they knew where he was, they'd kill him. And, the Israelis showed a callous indifference to the fate of Israeli citizens, both those who were taken prisoner by Hamas on October 7th and those who were simply caught in the crossfire. It's becoming apparent that Israel killed the vast majority of the Israelis who died on October 7th. That the Hannibal Directive, which is the name of a directive, a controversial directive that has Israel killing soldiers or hostages before they could be taken back into Gaza to prevent Hamas from using them as leverage to get Palestinian prisoners released, that the Hannibal Directive was in full force. So, no, I don't believe this. So I think if they knew where he was, they'd kill him.
All right, Scott, we'll take you any way we can get you with technical problems. But if you are able to steady your phone, we're hearing the rustling around a little bit. Are you able to steady it or not? Should we just continue?
Well, I'm holding it by hand because
okay.
I think the problems was that my little stick gig cut off my internet connection by putting pressure on my phone in some way that it shouldn't have. So rather than repeat it,
then we'll just live with it. We'll just live with it then. Okay. Just asking. All right. Ramsey from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Is the West experiencing a weapons shortage that could affect Israel's military capability? The U.S. bypassed Congress again to approve another arms sale to Israel consisting mainly of 155 millimeter shells. However, it seems those shells will be given to Israel unassembled. Is this how shells are normally exchanged?
I'm not somebody who has been involved in the transfer of weapons from the United States to other nations. I will say this, that when I inspected in Iraq, the weapons depots of the Iraqis, they had a tremendous amount of American-made ammunition, much of it which was sourced from Jordan. Because Iraq had some American-made, artillery systems, and the Jordanians were providing them with ammunition, and the ammunition, 155 millimeter ammunition, was stored ready to fire. So I would assume that that's the way that the ammunition is normally delivered, and that the fact that we're shipping them unassembled 155 millimeter shells is just indicative of the urgency of Israel's need, and our again, I don't know the niceties of law. Maybe by shipping them unassembled, they don't qualify as a weapon, but weapons components, and that might play some role in justifying the bypassing of. I don't know, but I don't think that's the way shells are normally shipped.
I can relate to this, Scott, because I need to get a table, a desk for my apartment. And, Amazon has the best deals, but in almost every case, it comes unassembled.
Hàng thứ 5 mốc 1 đơn, 1 giảm 6 đơn. Căn một đặt lên được không? Tiếp theo, căn một đặt lên màu nâu. Sau khi thực hiện xong thì mình đã có một găng tay như thế này. Nếu mà mọi người thích thì nhớ theo dõi video hướng dẫn móc len của mình. Còn bây giờ thì xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở những video tiếp theo. Bye bye!